that?
What's that? I do now.
Worked out well. Who's at the door? Oh, look, it's Donald Trump. Come on in, Mr.
Donald Trump in person. Every Monday is a Donald Trump Monday, but now in person for one reason. He hasn't seen Steve and I in a long time.
Long time.
Wrong.
You know,
Nice to see you, Donald Trump. Nice to see you.
I'm feeling kind of bad because Brian and I are here as Elizabeth's co-hosts, but you actually coordinated tie and dress.
I did.
Look, see?
I did.
It's almost like a promise.
She certainly
Promise
is
picture.
fantastic. You made the right choice.
Hey, what do you think of that story right there about how all the questions in the Miss America pageant were supposed to be equally difficult? One gal gets a question about Syria, the other one gets a question about Miley Cyrus.
Twerking.
Well, they were very different, but I really focus on the Miss Universe contest, which, as you know, is much bigger, better, and will be in Moscow, of all places.
You going to
We'll be
Moscow?
in Moscow on November 9th.
And you will be
And I'm
there.
going. Do you want to go? Do you want to come?
Are you going to have any other meetings while you're there? Say
I
maybe
don't
like
know.
a Putin
Well, we've
meeting?
invited President Putin. That'll be interesting.
Well, you know, that
Did
should
you
be our
really?
second.
Wait, you did invite him.
I know he'd like to go.
Right. Of course he would. He'd probably just ask him to put a shirt on. Let's just go to our second talking point then, since it's an easier transition. Vladimir Putin is going to be heading to Iran now. He feels so successful. He's on a high after negotiating a deal with Syria. He's going to go work on the Iran nuclear program. What have we done to him?
Well, he's doing very well. We've made him the world leader. Our leaders have really, they've given the mantle, and he is now the world leader. He's done very, very well. I think the people of Russia probably are somewhat, at least some of them are pretty proud of him. He has done an amazing job of showing how to lead.
But it doesn't mean he's a great person or a
No,
great
it doesn't
leader.
mean he's
You
great.
mean he's
Doesn't
jumped
mean
through
he's
an
not-
opportunity.
But what he's done is amazing, and he's, you know, Assad now is 100%. There is no,
Sure.
forget it, that's over. It's a rough situation.
We had Congressman Duffy on earlier, and he was quoted earlier in the week as saying that President Obama should hand Putin his Nobel Peace Prize. Do you think that is something that
Well,
should happen?
I don't know about that. I can only say that Putin has done an amazing job of showing leadership, whether it's good leadership, bad leadership, or what, and whether it's a noble cause or not. Let's not discuss that. But certainly, he did give our president a lifeline. But that lifeline was brilliant because it gave him position of top. And Assad now has got no problem with the rebels. I mean, the rebels are, forget it. No, I was never a big rebel fan to start off with. Because I'm trying to figure out who are these rebels. I mean, what are we doing? What are we fighting for? So I don't care about that. But Assad now is solidly in control.
Right.
Well, you know, because it is such a mess over there, George Stephanopoulos had a sit-down with the President of the United States and essentially called the President on it. Here's George and the President.
Folks here in Washington like to grade on style. Right? And so had we rolled out something that was very smooth and disciplined and linear, they would have graded it well, even if it was a disastrous policy. We know that because that's exactly how they graded the Iraq war until
So this
it ended
doesn't
up
change your
blowing
view
in
of
our
President
face.
Bush?
I'm less concerned about style points. I'm much more concerned about getting the policy right.
Well, style-wise, Syria stunk.
Well, the policy is worse than the style. I mean, what could be worse than our policy? We're being scoffed at. We're being laughed at. Our country's going to hell. I mean, what can be worse than what's happening to this country?
I'll give you
our country.
You run a huge corporation very successfully. If you had a vice president making policy and then you had to come out and walk him back and then you told him to go make policy, then you changed it on him, is that a smooth running company? Because that's what we witnessed with the president. He calls it style points. I call it embarrassing.
Well, look, our country is being run very poorly. You have other points that you wanted to talk about, whether it's Social Security with that big ripoff or so many different things. I mean, we could go after agency after agency. Our country is being run very, very poorly. And before we go to Syria, where they hate us and where we're going to spend trillions of dollars there, I mean, in Iraq, $1.5 trillion, thousands of lives. You and I discussed this. Thousands of lives. What do we have? Nothing. And now Iran is using their airspace because it's a little bit shorter to fly over to get to Syria.
Pulled out too quickly.
So it's a horrible thing what's happening to our country.
You mentioned economy, obviously. Latest news shows Larry Summers withdrawing his name from consideration as chair of the Federal Reserve. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, he's a very controversial guy, very smart guy. I don't know him well, but he is certainly somebody that probably you're going to end up now with Janet Yellen. She's going to keep interest rates low.
And keep printing money.
That's true. She's going to be printing money. But I always I have to say selfishly, as long as I'm in my role as a developer, I love cheap money. I mean, I've always loved it.
Because
So I
there's
have to say-
incentives for you to
No,
develop.
look, you have to go with where you are. I'm a developer. They did a nice story about me today in the Wall Street Journal. I'm very proud. One of your sister publications.
I heard about that.
But I am a developer, so I love low interest rates, frankly. But as to whether or not it's good for the economy, time will tell.
Now, let's
Time
talk
will
about
tell.
5 years since
Oh,
Lehman.
by the way,
5 years.
you said you were in the paper?
Wow, I like that better.
Oh.
Here we are. In the
You know what I'll do? I'll swap.
Here we are in the New York
No, I like-
Times.
Are you trying to trump Trump?
I like that much better
Very
than my
good.
story.
As you see, I'm Alice in the shot, looking up.
You are.
I am Alice.
That's right. What's
I
going
am
on?
the man.
What's going on with you?
I'm not sure, Donald. I need you.
I didn't plan that out.
All right.
All right, real quick. Lehman Brothers, 5 years. What have we learned? Are we protecting ourselves from too big to fail?
Well, it could happen again. I mean, there's no question it could happen again.
We fixed it, though.
And well, it's not fixed. It's very artificial. It could happen again. Let's hope it doesn't. And I have to tell you, I've done this, Monday morning, 7 o'clock, the highest rated 15 minutes of
Absolutely,
the
of the
week.
day.
And they said, would you come? And I said, no. They said, but Elizabeth's here. I said, I will be here.
Oh, and look, we matched.
I like to do it from my bed in my pajamas. It's much
That's
nicer.
an honor.
No, I had to be here.
Tell us
What a
what you
visual.
said in the break about when you first got won over by Elizabeth.
Okay, I was won over because Rosie attacked her, and what she did to Rosie was unbelievable. Rosie has never, in fact, Rosie never showed up after that, did she? I think she just quit.
I think she threw in the apron.
That's the real Elizabeth. She's very smart, very tough, and she's also very nice, but just stay friendly with her.
Here's your warning.
Right.
I saw her on Survivor.
Now.
She's good with a
So,
spear.
Donald, as long as Elizabeth's here every Monday, you'll be here in person?
Well, I might do that. That's a good
right.
idea.
Okay, we're going to work that out. As long
Absolutely.
as we coordinate our tie and dress.
Good luck.
Thank you, Mr.
Donald.
Trump.
All right.
Honor to
Very
have
great
you
to be here.
here.
Thank you.
Hey, coming on up, major insurers.